join us shortly. But I think the reason that I wanted to us to get together, have a conversation about Shiva Foundation, and obviously we've been working together for a number of years now, and it's unfortunately, I think it says Shiva Foundation is unable to join. But I think maybe we could just carry on. Let me try once more. I'm just going to see if we can.
Do you want to try her personally on John?
Yeah. No problem. Let's see.
For those who are watching, it's like first Insta Live. Hopefully they'll be patient.
Yes, yes. I think they may be having technical difficulties, but not a problem. I think maybe there's a possible. I'm just going to see if she's emailed me. No, I don't think she's emailed me, but no, it's fine. I think we can just carry on. Let's just crack on. I think
okay.
A few people have joined us, which is great. So thanks, guys, for logging in, taking some time out. But yeah, just to go over things. I think obviously we've been working with Meenal, the team, and Sean, who was hopefully she might be able to join us shortly, of Shiva Foundation. The Shiva Foundation has been going for, I think Meenal can give us a better breakdown later on, but it's been going for a number of years, and it's been tackling really strong, powerful issues. And I think what's been exciting for me in Camp Creation is the fact that we're able to contribute to helping to raise the issues and awareness of modern slavery, human trafficking, things that we don't tend to talk about these days. And it's a very prevalent practice that's actually happening within various sectors across the UK, and more through I guess my awareness has grown through working with the Shiva Foundation, and I think it would be good obviously just through this conversation to understand a little bit more about Meenal's purpose behind it, and I think in all of our lives we've got purpose, we've got things that drive us towards doing certain things and taking an interest in certain things. And I think it would be good through this conversation to just understand a little bit about I guess where Meenal's passion and drive and commitment have come from, and she can maybe give us a little bit of an overview, not into too much detail. I think let's keep it free flowing, and just to give people a taste of what Shiva Foundation is about. And how that links in with the hotels and the hospitality side of things as well. So Meenal, hopefully that's a little bit of an introduction to you. But if you could maybe in a few sentences tell us a little bit about the Shiva Foundation and where your passion and commitment has come from.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro. Very on point. But yeah, we have been working together for a long time, Amit. So I think that goes without saying that you really do understand what we do and the cause, and you really do. Camp Creation's always really helped us amplify our vision and direct it in the best way possible from a design and messaging point of view. So yeah, I can give a brief intro and then hopefully Sean will join, but feel free to let's make it a conversation. So jump in whenever you want. Otherwise I can talk about this for hours, as you know. So
no problem.
So unofficially we were set up since 2012, but that was when the conversation started. That's when Nishma came on board. We were learning, we were not doing much, we were just learning, and we gave ourselves a very long time to just learn. In terms of the motivation behind starting it, I think many people have heard this story, but I may as well repeat it. I'd always done a lot of work in the social, now we call it the social impact sector. At that time it was charity, but I'd always done a lot of work, mostly in India, through Connect India, which is how we met, and that my exposure within the third sector and that space was pretty much within India, even though I lived here. And it was only much later on that I sort of got involved with the social impact sector in the UK. Anyway, 2011 is when Ish, my youngest one, was born. And during those initial long nights, as you know, I was watching TV while breastfeeding, and I was stumbled upon the CNN Hero of the Year award. And that year, 2012, was Anuradha Koirala. And she runs a incredible, she's a force to reckon with, but she runs an incredible organization in Nepal, in Kathmandu, although her work expands beyond Kathmandu, called Mighty Nepal. And through a very sort of brief introduction by Demi Moore, and then a speech by Anuradha Koirala when she accepted this prestigious award, I realized that there is something called sex trafficking, and I didn't even know it was called human trafficking at that point, or slavery or anything, but it was sex trafficking at that time. And she was specifically focusing on the India-Nepal border, where children were bought and sold across that border. And children as young as 2-3 years old, girls as young as 2-3 years old. We're talking like 30,000-40,000 children a year, who are being sold into brothels, brothels in Delhi, brothels in Calcutta, brothels in Mumbai, from Nepal. And this was not happening with the parents were believing that they were going to go and work as domestic workers within households, potentially teenage girls.
Sure.
And they were actually, they had no sign of what was about to happen to their children at all. They had no knowledge at all. And they were being tricked into this situation. Anyway, I can talk about that for a long time, but obviously it was really difficult to just hear this as a parent. And as parents, both Rishi, my husband, and I both thought that this is something we can do. Like we can start understanding more and doing something about this, not really knowing what we can do. So anyway, fast forward a few months, and we did a fundraiser. We raised $250,000. We spread that between 6 charities in India and the UK. At that time, one of the organizations that was working directly with victims was Helen Bamba. So we donated to them as well. But that journey, that 6-month journey of planning the fundraiser, but also understanding what was happening within the space, was an incredible learning journey. And once the event happened, we didn't really want to stop there because it felt like it had just begun. That's when Nishma came on board, and that's when we started exploring what's going on, only to then realize that this is happening in the UK, this is happening in the US, this is happening across the globe. Sure. And it's not just sex trafficking, so it's not just buying and selling for sex. It's also domestic servitude, bonded labor. It's hidden everywhere, right? So initially, when we started having conversations, the 3 of us in the team, people were not really acknowledging it, or they thought they didn't really believe us. Until in 2015, I became a local councillor, but also May 2015 was when the landmark Modern Slavery Act was passed. And at that point, people were like, the penny dropped, that this is something that's not just happening somewhere where we can't see it. It's happening under our noses. Right. Nail bars, car washes, name it. There's a lot of slavery and a lot of exploitation happening. So that's how it all began, and that's how we came back into the UK. Yeah. As a local councillor and as somebody who understands the hospitality sector, we thought, why not start with what we have and what we know? Yes. And so that's when the journey began to what is now known as Hearts Modern Slavery Partnership, which we have been coordinating and we've helped found. And that's how, on the business side, we created the blueprint. And there've been lots of other outcomes, like the recent SME toolkit, which is to help mostly hotel sector, but hospitality overall. And then also I would go as far as saying helping business understand and have tools at their disposal to tackle this crime on their doorstep. And a lot of it is about awareness and training. A lot of it is about building pathways and working together. with like your local organization, stakeholders, police. It's about putting in protocols and processes, and it's doable, and we've shown that it's doable. So currently we're exploring other ways of working in other sectors that we're going to be working in, but fundamentally those are the two areas that we're trying to say, okay, we've taken it this far, how can we now keep amplifying the work that we're doing and keep working with others and supporting others on this journey. So if I was going to give you one example, through our work on the hotel side, one of the stakeholders, one of our suppliers is the cleaning agency we work with, because it's all outsourced.
Sure.
And obviously there's a lot of exploitation that happens within this sector. So we work with one of the UK's leading, largest cleaning agencies. And instead of thinking, oh gosh, like we don't want to go on this journey with Shiva Hotels, they actually really embraced this journey. And as a result of those conversations and that particular dialogue with the head of that organization, they now have their own protocol in place to understand and tackle modern slavery within their supply chains and their group. And that affects about 4,000 staff. So it's about knowledge, it's about building awareness, it's about understanding, it's about genuinely working together and sharing. Because if you think about the people who are exploiting, they are very complex, organized networks, and probably very well resourced. They are making a lot of money from whatever they're doing from these slaves, right? So to tackle this issue, we need to be as intelligent, and we can't be intelligent if we're working in silos. So we are coming together across sectors and bringing in the best people to like tackle this is basically how we're going to do it. Yes.
I just want to kind of stop you there. I think
of course.
There's a few people kind of logged in. So just to give those that have just joined a little bit of an overview. Obviously, we talk with Meenal, who's director at Shiva Foundation, who we work with on a regular basis. And she's just given us a bit of an overview of it's quite a detailed overview of Shiva Foundation and where it kind of came from. And I guess the importance of this, the whole kind of raising awareness of kind of important issues around modern slavery and human trafficking, which has been really insightful. And hopefully we can kind of share this this little bit of information that you've given as well, kind of to other people as well. But just want to kind of ask the audience if you guys have any questions or you want to kind of connect. We'll talk about contact details at the end, but feel free to drop anything in the comments if you've got any questions for Meenal, and we'll try our best to kind of answer them. But Meenal, you've given a really good overview there of kind of what you're doing, and I think that you didn't actually mention it, but that whole word about kind of collaboration and working with the other organisations to kind of, as you say, amplify the voice of raising awareness on these important issues. So obviously, I think with Shiva, it's kind of a lot of the work is kind of being done kind of locally, as you mentioned, with the HMSP, with the Hertfordshire Modern Slavery Partnership. But beyond that, you're working with other organisations as well. Could you kind of give us a little bit of information about those organisations and how you're kind of collaborating with them?
Sure. So now that we understand, well, we have more understanding than we used to have regarding how to tackle this issue as individuals. Like we sort of know that it starts with us. So as individuals, as consumers, as parents, I mean, all our children are at risk of this as well, because there's a lot of social media is a double-edged sword, as we know, and a lot of harm is happening through social media. And so there's an element of educating parents, which we are not doing, but there are people out there doing it. But as individuals, so what we're trying to do is that agencies and organizations and businesses with tools, so some of them are our own tools, but now that we've learnt how to do it, we are also trying to sort of bring these conversations to sort of larger tables. So for example, the Commonwealth, the Commonwealth has an 8.7 committee, which is basically their modern slavery committee, which feeds into their human rights work that happens at a Commonwealth level. So we are now, Sian and I both are sitting on those committees, feeding in our experience, especially with regards to business, and trying to drive change at that level so that governments, those Commonwealth countries, can start getting businesses involved and start those conversations. And then I'm working with national government, or we're collectively working with national governments, but so am I, in terms of how you can build this sort of knowledge base and understanding. And essentially, all you're saying is that in the work that you're already doing, we don't need to create more work, but let's build a lens, right? So let's look at things differently. So when you go and tackle issues, you know that this is a possibility. So you know how to ask the right questions. I think a lot of this comes down to just asking the right questions regarding exploitation, regarding abuse, but all sorts of things. So it's just about saying, look, let's not create more work. We understand that, you know, the general thing is we don't have resources. We can't do this at local government level. Actually, you do need resources, but actually you can just intelligently do things without resources, because we have managed to do that without resources. And so we can't just keep waiting, right? That's the point, that we can't keep waiting until a second Modern Slavery Act is passed or more guidance comes out. We have to be acting now. This is affecting people. This is affecting millions of people across the globe. This is affecting children our age. I mean, children who are our age children. And so I don't think that there is a tomorrow to wait for. I think that this is about like grasping it, understanding it, building awareness, and then using both our own networks and talking to others to use their networks to tackle this issue. And I think the UK is a leader when it comes to this. I think that they are really sort of making a lot of changes. And yeah, change is always gradual, but they are still trying to do their best, I think. And there's a long way to go, but that's okay, because it started. The journey has started.
Mm-hmm. So I think obviously in terms of your communication and your kind of touch points, so to speak, you've got, obviously you use your website. I think you're quite active on Instagram, Twitter, and I think obviously the team behind.
Sorry.
Say that again?
Sorry, I just like sort of.
Oh, no worries. No, I was just saying that obviously that you've got kind of a really kind of proactive team behind, and obviously there's been a pandemic that's affected us in more ways than one. I mean, how have you? I know obviously Sian, I think she's probably a little bit more aware of this, but how have you managed to kind of get through this initial phase? And obviously, hopefully, we're at the tail end of what's been a crazy 18 months. But how have you and the team, how have you kind of collaborated together? How have you kind of maintained that synergy?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that everyone in the world has been affected by this in different ways, but I don't think anyone's not been affected. When it comes to the actual foundation, I think that, look, everybody, like, thank God for furlough. We we are funded, obviously, as you know, by the hotel business, yeah. And the hotels obviously have not been operational. Crazy. So obviously that affected us. Yeah. So unfortunately, the most of the team had to go on to furlough. But we kept in touch. We had weekly call-ins. We spoke to each other. Some of them were volunteering for organizations, which they could do during this time just to keep themselves busy. And then as and when we've been able to bring people back over the last few months, even if it's for a couple of days a week, they've gradually been returning to work. So all we said is that there are lots of unknowns for everyone concerned. What can we do within this time? So we basically just delayed some of our work streams, which was fine because others were doing the same. So some of the work that we were going to tackle in 2020 had to be delayed. Some of the work continued as soon as the team started coming back slowly. And as of yesterday, everybody's back for half the time. They're on flexi furlough. And hopefully from October, everyone's going to be back full time and we can carry on. But it's been I think it's been
very challenging.
It's been challenging, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot of anxiety for people at an individual level and even at an organizational level, like how, you know, you take for granted that this work will continue, that we can keep having these conversations with people, that you would never think, right, that these conversations were going to stop or our work would stop. So coming to terms with that, with just slowing down, was hard to grapple with. And not knowing when things will return, and not knowing what will happen, and maybe even still not knowing fully, but not knowing has been another big thing of like big adjustment. But I think this, just speaking to my team, and I think this, I could echo this for lots of other charities and non-profits across the sector and organizations and businesses, like just the resilience has been incredible. Like the positive attitude, the resilience, working together, making people, people have made themselves useful in different ways during this time. Like, I think that I've been really inspired by how my team has tackled this, and the resilience they've shown. And I, in turn, have sort of tried to stand by them all. But we've done this together, and it's brought us, hopefully it's made us stronger. Come back.
Why not? No, I think for sure. I think obviously there's a number of people within the team, Sean, Kate, and the rest of the team. I mean, what I found is that you know, there's a genuine kind of willingness to kind of drive this change forward across the sector. And I think it's, you know, it's for me, I think when you've got a team like that, I think people within the team, everyone inspires each other. And I consider, obviously, Count Creation being part of that team, you know, to kind of drive things forward. You know, there are a lot of issues in the world that are going on. And I think if we can, what I found is that you're never able to, it's kind of a dream to kind of eradicate all of these kind of negative things in the world. But I think if you can, even just focusing on this as an idea for now, and just raising that awareness. And I think once you become aware of something, then it allows you to act on it, you know, help out in a way that, whatever way you can. But as long as you're aware, I think that just helps you to kind of drive everything forward, I guess. I think just kind of backtracking slightly. So obviously the organization, Shiva Foundation, started in 2012. But I think, where do you see it kind of, and for those that have kind of just joined us just now, and we were talking about how Shiva Foundation is tackling modern slavery and human trafficking and raising awareness of it. But where do you see, what's your vision for the next 2 to 5 years? Have you kind of thought about where you'd like to take it? I'm guessing for me, it's probably more about kind of creating more collaboration, creating more kind of connections within the industry, whether that's hospitality, maybe exploring opportunities outside hospitality. And like you say, I think the hospitality sector has taken a massive hit over the last 18 months, and hopefully it does kind of get back to what it's not used to, because I think even myself, even a lot of us are kind of craving a holiday, you know, to get away into a nice hotel and, you know, take some time out for ourselves. But hopefully it will happen at some point. But where do you see Shiva Foundation going in the next 2 to 5 years?
I think that modern slavery will always be something that we are known for, especially at a policy level, at a UK level. And that's something that we will carry on, both being in touch with local government. I mean, Kate is now no longer going to be coordinating HMSP, but we will still be at the table, helping make decisions. And I think the hospitality and the hotel work will continue, at least as far as amplifying is concerned, working with organizations like GLAA to be sharing some of the work that we've done, and bringing this then to sort of the national level and the Commonwealth level across countries. We've already done work with about 88 hotels in terms of adopting our blueprint. So this work will continue. Something that Nina's been working on is prevention work within universities. So university students who are doing relevant courses in hospitality embedding sort of modules, prevention modules around modern slavery within education systems, because something that we really believe in is that we are luckily in a position where we can focus on prevention and sort of have a long-term plan around it. I think some of the more exciting work, some other exciting work that we want to be doing and hopefully will be doing shortly, is looking at like the fact that we've been working on modern slavery and exploitation has opened up a lot of other areas of issues for us. And we're realizing that all human rights violations are interlinked, that, you know, homelessness is interlinked with modern slavery, domestic abuse is interlinked with modern, like there's a lot of intersections, and through these intersections, we've learned about a lot of the other causes. So we are now looking at diversifying slightly, and looking at we're exploring other areas such as sex workers, because I've done a lot of work myself with sex workers in Delhi and Mumbai. So bringing some of that to the UK, because there are issues here concerning sex workers. Homelessness is something else we've considered looking at, just based on the amount of experience we've accumulated within that. And domestic abuse, especially with regards to Black and minoritized communities, is another thing that we want to be looking at a very sort of policy level, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of great stuff on the ground there, but sometimes it's not affecting change where it needs to be affecting change. So again, like, I think that these are conversations that we're having, and I think over the next few years, we're not going to be veering away from modern slavery, but we are going to be doing other things as well. So that's really exciting, and I think the team is really excited about those areas as well.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think Anil Bhai has just messaged us. He's saying, are you hoping to extend your reach for modern slavery in construction industry and supply chain? I think you've kind of touched on that a little bit.
We've done a lot of work with construction, and the construction industry is actually very well evolved when it comes to tackling modern slavery. There's a whole network that's come together at a similar time when we brought the blueprint out. And from all the sort of suppliers we worked with, the construction industry actually, obviously is being hit by this quite a lot. But they were also taking significant steps to tackling it. So yeah, construction is a very good example of what can be done.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you touched on your vision there for the next 2 to 5 years, and that was really kind of insightful. I think that was kind of a really kind of good overview. I think you've given like some really great detail on, you know, obviously there's that kind of passion and commitment that you've got, and that I see from you and the team, and I think it's quite kind of heartening, and I think that allows us to kind of move forward with the work that we do, and we obviously take pride in the work that we do for all our clients. And
well, I was going to say that you do a lot of work with non-profits, don't you, Amit? Like,
yes,
you work with British Asian Trust, you do work with us. Like, your portfolio seems to have a lot of non-profits within it. And I was going to ask you, like, is there a reason for that?
That's a good question. Again, I think it just comes down to purpose, and, you know, being able to create a change in some way. And I think, yeah, it's great to kind of do design work and, you know, branding work or whatever you want to call it. But I think if you can kind of contribute and change in a positive change in one way or another. I think one issue that's kind of popped up is obviously this climate issue and climate change that's, you know, in the news at the moment, and it has been in the news for a number of years. And it's one of those things, until we actually take the responsibility ourselves, things don't kind of tend to happen. So I think it's almost like an onus on all of us to make a change in one way or another, however big or small you can make. But I think going back to the work that we do, and the way that obviously working with non-profits and kind of charities is it's quite a close thing to kind of be doing, and I think it's good. I think we're all in the game to kind of create change and positive change, you know, and I think that's really important as well. No, but I think that's good. I'm just going to see if we've got any more questions from the conversation, but I've really enjoyed it, actually. We've not spoken in a while, and
it's been lovely.
Hoping you're keeping well, and family are well. and all is good this side. And yeah, it's unfortunate Sean's not been able to kind of join
You
us
can
today.
always do another one with Sean.
Yeah, yeah,
And she can do most of the talking next time.
Yeah, no, I think she's on before, but yeah, Sean, the team, Meenal, yourself, I think you're all kind of doing a fantastic job. Those that are on the call, you know, I'd really encourage you to kind of visit the Shiva Foundation website, learn more about the work. Modern slavery, human trafficking, it's happening right now in the UK, around the world. It's not something that's from 50 or 100 years ago. It's actually happening now, and it's a very
and we can do something about it together.
Meenal, how can they? What's the best email if anyone's got a message? Is it
I think it's on the website, the info@Shiva Foundation address. So yeah, and they can always reach out through other platforms as well if they want to.
Sure.
But no, Amit, thank you. And as you know, like, you know, all our work wouldn't be out there if it wasn't for you. So everyone has a part to play, and we really appreciate and acknowledge that as well.
It's all about collaboration, the count collaboration. I think Bhavik's just message, really great conversation. Thank you. Yeah, you too, Bhavik. And Bhavik has obviously been involved with a lot of
Bhavik's also been part of the journey.
So, no, it's amazing. But great. No, Meenal, take care.
Take
care, team. Take care, world. And yeah, it's been really lovely.
Nice to speak to you, Amit. Okay.
Take care.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.